Being crazy enough to walk in your calling, also known as if we're still alive, I'll add the parentheses, after being on the road with 6 children nonstop. What's your excuse?
Hi, thank you for coming. We love to teach. You give us 5 minutes or 5 days, and we'll do it. That's our crazy calling wherever we go and whatever we do. So PJ was so nice to open up yet another slot for us to share with you, but we only really found out about that a short time ago. So we do what we do, which is crazy to be. We are ready in season, and we are ready in season because we're always in season because we're traveling around teaching all the time. So what we've wanted to do is share with you our crazy journey really quickly, but that culminated in a tour that we did this summer. Actually, we're wrapping up our summer. We pushed summer out as far as we possibly can into October. So this is called Being Crazy Enough to Walk in Your Calling, and if we're still alive, what's your excuse? Because when when we're able to show up traveling the hundreds and thousands of miles that we do with our 6 children, just the fact that we show up should inspire you to do whatever it is that you're being called to do. Is it crazy? Yes. Don't do it unless you're called to do it. But you're called to do something, and we'll be covering that in great length through the other teachings and sharings that we're going to be doing. Has everybody gotten one of these? If you haven't, we made up a flyer for the different things that we're going to be doing. As many of these as you can come to, they all fit together really well because these are just pieces of conferences that we do when we travel around. We even do two-day whole weekend conferences where we're teaching lots, so we're trying to bring as much to you as we can. So, who are we? Who are we? And in that photo, no, that doesn't represent our height properly.
No. So I am Dr. Kim Goldman. This is Chaim Goldman, and we are repairing the breach, theoretically and literally, we hope, right? Spiritually and all sorts of things. But I'm a chiropractor. I am a homeschool mother. We are Israeli and American citizens. We did live in Israel for almost 9 years. We are American born, but we have the experiences that we gained over there. We are both fully Jewish believers, and what else?
6 children?
6 children, I mentioned that part.
And we're crazy.
And we're crazy.
Okay, so the biggest Jewish tradition. What is the biggest Jewish tradition? Anybody? Yell it out. What is it? What? What? A kippah. Food. That's a good one, yes. Brisket. Yeah, that's part of the food. Actually, the biggest Jewish tradition, and I know this because from ultra-Orthodox to ultra-secular, all Jews do this. They don't believe in Jesus. That's it. That's it. For the past 2,000 years, that's been the biggest Jewish tradition. But Kim and I both broke that tradition, and we break that tradition in order to follow Messiah. So when we get up here, as we won't so much today, although we do teach a challenging word, we don't want to waste your time, and we certainly don't want to waste ours, so we're going to bring meat whenever we have an opportunity, is we're going to be challenging you to change some things in your life, to think about things and change some things in order to follow Messiah. So we want to let you know we've done it, we've counted the cost, and we've still done it. So we're not standing up here asking you to do anything that we don't do every day, because this walk is about dying to self. That's it. We need to die. We need to lose our life in order to gain it. And what we have to tell you, if you're willing to be crazy for the Almighty, okay, you're going to get much more than whatever you're holding on to. Whatever it is that you're holding on to, it can't compare, because he has more than you can hope or imagine waiting for you inside the kingdom work. But you got to be willing to break out, because every challenge that we've had to overcome, and we're going to share them with you rapid fire today to help and tell you about lessons learned, we will do. Repairing the breach, that's who we are, and it's what we do. That comes from Isaiah 58. We have on our website, I have teachings going into Isaiah 58, what it means to us, but Isaiah 58 really is a pattern for living the sanctified life. Absolutely. Read it over and over and over and over again. It talks about the acceptable fast and what that means. And really, it's a pattern that Isaiah laid out that Yeshua walked, and we believe that all believers should walk in. So the vision that we have for that is doing just that, is walking in that ourselves and in teaching it. And so our ministry goes into ancient paths, Hebrew roots, things like that. We say ancient paths because that term hasn't been abused yet, so we can actually say that term and people say, oh, that sounds interesting. We're not letting you in here to teach that crazy stuff. So, but Hebraic roots. Ancient paths, Biblical Health TV is an organization we've had for 7 years. It is that in this 7th year is blossoming into something called Nourish the Nations, and then Kingdom Business. My passion is and my calling is to help other believers walk in their callings, specifically in the marketplace, in the realm of business. And that's one of the things that we're offering here at the feast that we will mention toward the end. We have some slots where we can get with people and do some short period of coaching with you, both Kim and I. Kim in the health realm and lifestyle realm, and me in the walking in your calling business realm. We want to do that. We're bringing everything we can to the feast. So the mission is to go out and get this done, walk in our calling while we teach it to others. And over the years, we have developed different organizations. One, Biblical Health TV, biblicalhealth.tv, you can check that out. And also Kingdom Consulting is the ministry/business that I operate under in my coaching. And all of that took form under Repairing the Breach. And so we have that, Repairing the Breach is the umbrella of that, but we do these things within it. Really, in the end, what it is, it's a holiness ministry, it's a restoration ministry, it's calling people in body, soul, and spirit, in business, in theology, in relationship, whatever, is to be holy as he is holy, which is holiness in all things, and that's what we teach. We just come at it from different angles. So, about 15 years ago, we got married, and we immediately moved over to Israel, and at some point along the way, I don't know when it was, because we were in Israel and we never felt that we were really coming back for any length of time, Kim had a crazy idea. What was that crazy idea, Kim?
The crazy idea. Well, we're in Israel, and you know what I really want to do? I want to get an RV, and I want to travel the country, this one. I want to travel the country and homeschool our children and see everything, learn about the places when we go. And so that was a little crazy because we didn't live here, right? That's kind of makes it impossible. And I had no idea at the time that we would end up back here. I really thought we were staying there forever. And I'm sure we'll go back. But that's kind of crazy.
Right. But about 4 years ago, we did move back. We had things going on with the ministry, and we felt it was time to come here. And at Sukkot, 2 years ago, someone came to us and they're like, we have an RV, would you like an RV? It didn't work out, but that word reignited something, because it turned out the RV was in California and it really wasn't working as well as he remembered it had, and so it wasn't his fault, but what he did was he inspired that spark. We said, wait a minute, we're back in the States.
We suddenly remembered that dream from years ago that we had forgotten.
Right. So we started out to make this happen.
Yes.
And we were up in Charlotte at the time. We decided we would move back to Florida for a while. We thought it would be 6 months, turned into a year and a quarter by the time things came together. But we decided that we, as a family, would figure out a way to get on the road, to travel around America and possibly elsewhere, teaching this. But the months go by. And they go by, and they go by, and I'm a pretty organized guy. We had a calendar on the wall, and I was measuring all kinds of things. But then something very significant happened, and that was the invitations. What were the invitations?
Well, we got 2 very significant invitations within one day of each other. The first one was Chaim got an email from people he'd never met before to teach at a Messianic youth camp up in Saskatchewan, Canada. Now, we were in Miami Beach, Florida. We looked at the map, we're like, well, that's
2,800 miles, not even in the same country. I mean, I thought, could I get an invitation in Florida maybe? Would someone like us to teach locally? But no.
And at first, it's like, well, wow, that sounds like fun, but what about us? And I want to go, and that's crazy.
Right.
We can't
Now, there was a
drive
level
that
of
far.
money. There was an honorarium in order for travel expenses. But I said, I could fly up. Or
what if we actually drove and
started this tour that we've been talking about doing for years. And so now we had a date, and we had a point on the map.
Which
And
was
then,
several months later.
yeah, which was, it was a few months down the
Yeah.
line, but 2,800 miles away, and a specific date that we had to be up in Canada. But before we even fully accepted, we got another significant invitation, which was
from PJ and Christy to come back
to be here
to this boat now.
about 2 months after the camp ended. So now we had we had a loop, or in your direction, it would be a loop. We had a loop with a date to be back here, and I'm a deadline person. I come from a TV background, so I looked at Kim and I said, I think this is it. I think this is what we do. How do we do it? Where do we go in between? Well, we had points on the map, but we did this. We did the Repairing the Breach American Summer Tour, and we had some friends around the country who had small home fellowships, and we really had no idea other than, and I tried to find it, maybe I'll share it over the course of this. I tried to find it in our trailer. It's somewhere in our trailer. I have this laminated U.S. map that was on the wall, and I took those little Post-its with the arrows and I wrote dates on them and pointed them to the cities and checked out Google, how far would each one be, and started making calls and started making plans to do this with about 3 months. We had to be out the door in 3 months, and that was our plan. We have to have a plan. If you're going to do something crazy, okay, he has to give you the plan, and then you have to really plan the details of it to a point. And then we'll teach the lessons about, how we plan our ways and he guides our steps. We all know that scripture. You have to certainly allow for that. But we made a plan, and it was a very specific plan. It had very specific days, because we had to go very far. And then we even wanted to go farther because we had friends in Montana, and then we ended up getting invited to teach in Washington State, Central Washington State.
And we started in Miami Beach, and we're like, we had our toes in the Atlantic. What about if we went all the way
to the Pacific? But we came within about 100 some miles of it, but it didn't work out. Just some things you got to put down. And then we worked our way, all the way back, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Again, the map, very specific. I had a calendar, a monthly calendar, dry erase board, and I had a map with the U.S. and Canada, and every day with my desk here and looking at that thing and looking at that thing and looking at that thing with specific dates. That's the only way, that I know. I mean, again, the disciples were able to, walk out with the cloak on their back. They didn't have 6 children and things like that. So, when you do crazy stuff. So, the trailer.
First talked about, well, what is it that we need?
Yeah.
What do we need, or what do we want? What do we want? Yeah. Well, we want a really big RV, which we'll talk about again later. With
tractor trailers and planes and helicopters, of course, to travel around. But what do we really, really need? And what we realize is, well, we have this 20-year-old SUV. It's up there in years, but I think, in faith we can do this. We can pull out the door with that. What we need is a cargo trailer. We need something, because we're homeless. We're going to be homeless by choice. We don't have a place to go back to. We don't. I mean, we have refuges, I guess we would say, but we don't own or rent anything. And so we're going to be going out. So we needed something for 8 people, not to live in, but to live out of. All of our things. And then the things for putting on the conferences. We have props, and we have inventory, of course, for our resource table, and on, computers, and I have to set up an office where I am. That's why I'm able to sit in my cabin and print these things out, because we're managing this on the road. Mm-hmm. So we had decided that would be the least we needed, and Kim said, well, when are we getting this? Because the women want to know.
Because I want to organize and plan, because And
I said to her, look, we're in a condo in Miami. There's no place to put the trailer. We need this trailer 1 month before we leave. She's like, really? I said, yeah, we just need to get it, put it in the shelves, pack it, 1 month. We don't even want it any earlier. And she kept saying, really? And I said, yes. So it's now 6 weeks before we're leaving, and we have no trailer. And we have no money for a trailer. And I watched The War Room, and we immediately took our walk-in closet and turned it into a war room. And I'm in there praying, Father, we need a trailer. This is what we need. We're leaving. I told Kim we'd have it a couple weeks from now. And I hear my phone ding. And when I check it, a guy that I know, who I talk to and I'm friends with, he asked me for our bank account information. And I knew there was something, he's out of the country, there was something he had wanted me to send him, so I contacted him afterwards and said, do you want this? He said, no, I'm buying you the trailer. I said, what are you talking about? You don't have the money to buy the trailer. He said, well, actually, about a year ago, I got a very big settlement. I had the tithe is exactly what you're asking for on your website. And I was going to give it to another ministry, but the Father stopped me a year ago, and I've been sitting on this exact amount. And that's how we got the trailer. Now, even more amazingly, we had plans to go up and pick it up. Dr. Jeff Azim, who some of you know, my ministry partner and I, were visiting someone. We were going to pick it up on a specific day. Jeff hurt his knee really badly, delayed the trip a week. We drove up to Georgia, picked up the trailer, and that trailer was at our condo exactly 1 month to the day. That exactly 1 month to the day, as I had said a year before, we need it 1 month early. So watch what you proclaim, because it's very real. If I could teach one lesson from this trip, is we manifest our life. Okay, we're not subject to it. We actually manifest it the same way that Abba calls things in. So there's our trailer. Maybe you've seen it. This is us picking it up in Georgia. And I got home, packed the kids up in the trailer, and we were off. No, they're not living in there. Although there's always that threat. Hey, watch it. An hour in the trailer in the hop. No, I'm kidding. I'm told that's not legal, unfortunately. So we don't do that. But we've actually now gone in that trailer 7,000 miles. And it hasn't always been easy. But it's worked. The RV in that, it's worked. And so we've done it. So crazy. So our first stop, we leave Miami.
Finally left. And you have to understand, we weren't just leaving for a trip. We were completely moving out. So all the stress that comes from moving, and of course there's always last minute things
and planning the trip and all the dates.
And we had a deadline. We had to leave. And so at the end, of course, we're just throwing stuff in the trailer because, you're out of time. And what are you going to do? So our very first stop was a wonderful, wonderful first stop. We actually went to Jacksonville, close to here, to the Revive conference. And that was just such a
Timed out great.
It timed out perfectly. We weren't teaching at that conference, but we were able to be ministered to and learn and
saw old friends and new friends.
Saw old friends, and we got a really great
contacts for going around the whole country.
Right, we were able to tell people, hey, we're going. Where do you live? And we made contacts. We got invitations even right then, and we got a really good feeling, and I would say overview of where the Hebrew roots body is now.
Yeah, that was maybe the most crucial thing, because we're going out, we're forerunners, and we go out, you'll hear what we teach. We push you. We always go, we figure, hey, you want to be pushed, right? You want to go to the next level. So we had an idea when we were going out to the different Hebrew Roots congregations, and that's what we were doing. We were going through a network of Hebrew Roots, is where are they? What level are they at? And what we found, the president tends to lie at the State of the Union. The state of our union is good. No, you're lying. But the state of our union of Hebrew Roots, of course it can be better, and we have a long way to go. But I've been doing this over 20 years, and I'm seeing a maturity that blew us away, of the level of just wanting to do Torah in love and walking this thing out and not getting caught up and people being tired of all the arguing and the bickering. And there were over 1,100 people at this conference. And I'd say my impression was, wow, there's a maturity here we didn't expect. We can now go out and teach at a higher level than we wanted to, and that pleased us. And by the way, the teachings we're going to be giving you, we've just spent 3 months working them out. So we're really, make sure as we go. So made some really great contacts there, but we went to this was our big thing, like our first city that we went to was?
Right. We went to Roanoke, Virginia, and we were split between both Roanoke and
Good, about an hour away. Yeah, and we did different events there, and that was our plan. Now we've realized that doing a full weekend conference is really the best way to go. But our original plan was to do a bunch of separate events, and so we did some in Roanoke and some out in Good, and we met great people, and we learned, when you show up and there's just 10 people, we knew that already, but hey, it's going to happen. But everyone there is precious, and just pour in. Do whatever it is, no matter when you show up, if you're in front of one person or you're in front of a million, show up and do it, because you have no idea who's there. I mean, I love this. This is Minder Hall, right? Or Minder Hall. He's responsible for Billy Graham preaching for the first time. You know that? But who knows him? Who knows him? So you never know when a world changer, is in the room, and you just have to count on the fact that, and as far as I'm concerned, if you are willing, each one of you is a world changer. If you would just step into your calling, it's there to be had. So
we're
I
just
believe
sowing seeds, always,
Right.
always, always.
So, we had a goal. The next place that we went after Roanoke was Monroe, Michigan. Very, very good friends up there, the Smiths. We were going to teach up there, but one of the thing that we had to get to Monroe, we just had to get to Monroe was
to get our car fixed and
Right.
really taken care of, because Mr. Smith is a master mechanic for
Fords.
And
he said, "Get your car here, and
we'll
as
take
long
care
as you
of
can
it."
get that first 1,000 miles, I'll make it ready for the rest of your trip." Unfortunately, we didn't quite make it there. To the point of where we had like 3 different times in like a day, we kept having issues with our brakes. And when we did, thankfully, get to Michigan, and Carl put it in his shop and he looked at it, even though we had gotten brakes and rotors and things, some along the way, he looked at it, and there was one that was a rotor that was cracked in 3 places. He said he'd never seen anything like that before. And we had just driven through the mountains of West Virginia. And he said to us, only by the wings of Angel did you make it here, because your wheel could have literally come off when we were driving through West Virginia at night in the rain with issues that we did not know we had. Now, thankfully, Carl was able has his shop, kept doing stuff and doing stuff and doing stuff. The problem is stuff costs money, and we didn't exactly have that. But what we did have is a list of people that through the years in our ministries, we've been building, first with Biblical Health TV and then Repairing the Breach. And we don't like to do emergency appeals, but I have to tell you, they work really well. People actually step up when you're in trouble more than when you say, "Hey, would you just support us for $20, a month just to keep us going?" People yawn. You're stuck somewhere, people respond. So we did that, and I have to say, still only about maybe 1 to 2% of our whole list did anything. But that 1 to 2% brought in exactly the amount of money we needed for parts, as well as giving Carl money for his week. And we left Michigan with a new old car with so much replaced on it, and no bill. We paid them, and we left Michigan that way, in a way that, and this started a pattern with us of arriving places not really knowing how we're leaving, and learning that that's okay, because every time we've gone to leave,
yeah, I mean, it's literally a walk of faith day by day.
or a drive of
Or a
faith.
drive of faith. Basically, every time we go to leave, before we leave, we talk about, well, what's our money situation and how much do we think we need to get to the next place? And we sort of come up with a number, and somehow, before we leave, that's exactly how much.
Or even provision.
Or
not
provision.
necessarily money.
Right.
But provision.
Like, we need a place to stay on the way to, but we don't know anyone there. How can that happen?
We really don't. We don't have money for a hotel, but boom, someone
Right.
invites us to stay at their place, which we much
Over
prefer.
and over and over, Father is providing for us in that way, and
Right.
it's amazing to see.
And we just need to not be fearful.
Right.
That's the thing, and be concerned, because it keeps happening. Okay, so we left there. We went through Minneapolis, which was very nice. We got to teach in a congregation there, and then, which keeps happening, that actually turned into an invite. We didn't have a place to teach a longer teaching that we like to do, but someone invited us to their house to do that,
Right.
and so we got to do that, to keep teaching, just showing up, not thinking, we really don't have much to do there, let's not bother. No, let's show up, be faithful, do what we can, and then
Someone will invite us.
Someone opens up
Just
more
happens.
doors. But we went up to the camp. We went up into
Through
Canada. We
Winnipeg,
left
we
the
went-
country, and they have, large mosquitoes in Canada. I have to say, I thought the ones in Michigan were nasty, but the ones in Canada are like evil.
Yeah.
Evil
And I'm
mosquitoes.
from Florida, so I understand Florida mosquitoes. I'm telling you, this is another
Yeah,
creature.
A border guard, when we said that, he said, "Yeah, they're our national bird, the mosquitoes in Canada." The ones in Winnipeg were the worst, because they were on water. They're on low water there. Those things actually, how mosquitoes buzz around like looking for skin. These don't bother. The moment you stop, they land on your pants and start trying to drill through your pants. They just land and go until they find. It's amazing. I was happy to be back in the States when we got here, because I think we spray more here. I think that's the thing that makes it happen. But we were going to go to this camp. We spent Shabbat with awesome people
Great
up in
friends.
Saskatchewan. I mean, now she's from Miami, so we're like way north.
That's as far north
But
as
we're
I've
meeting
ever
we're
been.
meeting people who like live 4 hours north of there. You know, I mean, just anybody from Canada. It's, I mean, talking about negative. Did you know that negative 40 Celsius and negative 40 Fahrenheit are the same temperature? Oh, really? Yeah, we experience that every year. Kim's like, I'm out of here. It's August. Well, let's leave. Let's leave now before. So, but our son Ellie, our second child, who I refer to as our dangerous child. He got, they had horses at this farm that we were at, and
Well, first of all, we got to experience sort of farm life, which is, you know, a whole other world that I always, you know, have read about but never experienced. And chickens, well, they leave things on the floor. But so they had horses, which was really cool. And our son watched their children just jump on the bareback horse and, you know, ride around, and said, well, that looks like fun. But he didn't know that there were different horses, and like not all of them were gentle and broke. So he decided to wait, and he has no horse riding experience whatsoever, by the way. He decided to wait.
by the way, if you haven't figured out by now, the name of this section is called the emergency room.
So he decides that he wants to sit on a horse, so he waits until there's nobody around, climbs up on the fence next to the horse corral, just like he's seen the other boy do, and decides to climb onto a horse which had never been ridden and was not broke, bareback, of course.
Yeah.
And the horse decides to move around a little bit, and he falls off and he breaks his arm.
Yes.
No.
So this is at the end of Shabbat, and we don't exactly have health coverage.
And
or
we're in
anything.
Canada.
And we're in Canada. We have no cell phone or anything. And I'm supposed to be at the camp the next afternoon to teach an entire week. By the way, being invited to this camp meant I was the only teacher for the whole week. I designed the whole camp, so I was teaching every night. Kim had a couple of teachings, but we taught every night. We taught during the day. This was all us.
This was the day before the camp, which was the whole reason we started this trip.
Right. And now we're heading for the emergency room with Ellie, and we were there. Well, Kim was there all night. I ended up going home for a while to work things out. And they came in and it was broken, and they did set it and put on the cast. And Ellie, we just took the cast off of him, so he's happy, so he can go in the water for the first time. He
Like
missed
2 days ago, he just got
missed the the whole summer on that. But the amazing thing I want to see here is, as I said, Ellie is I call him our dangerous child. This was bound to happen at some point. It was. The fact that it happened the week and a half that we were in Canada was amazing, because they have socialized medicine up there, and the entire bill of being in the emergency room, the orthopedic surgeon, multiple x-rays, getting it done, the entire bill for all of it came out to $1,500 US. I'm told by those who know that would have been at least $7,500 in America. So this is where we learned he's very merciful, because $1,500 we were able to absorb, and we took a hit. $7,500 would have flattened us, absolutely flattened us. And yet that one time that we were in Canada was when this happened, thankfully, and we were amazed how little it was. So if you're going to get injured, do it up there. But we also took it as a warning, and we've now gone into that Samaritan's Ministries, that Christian Medi-Share thing, because we realized 6 children on the road, we're taking a little bit of risk. So we took that mercy, and we didn't try to push it farther than the father might want to be showing it. So I realized that. So we've been able to do that. So the camp meeting. What?
That's you.
Yeah. If I had the time, I'd like to tell the full story of the camp meeting. It would take at least a half an hour, and I'm not going to. What I would say is this. I learned a lot. I went to camp. I thought I was leading the camp. I didn't know I was going to camp. And what I mean by going to camp, I'm not talking about in that fun way of going to camp. This was the most intense spiritual time of my life. only to be topped by like the next thing that we did. So that so everything keeps everything is like, wow, that was really hard. What's coming next? And we're getting used to that. But this came very much out of left field. There were issues. Every community we go into, we're repairing the breach, but every community has its thing. And I was teaching very hard stuff, and I hadn't properly connected with the people by giving testimony and stuff. And I started, as this American outsider, I started causing issues within the camp. There started to be, boycotts of our teachings and stuff like that. That was just a mess because they were like, "Who are you people?" and "Why are you here?" And there was a lot of other stuff that's just crazy. Again, it's a great story, and maybe around the campfire I'll tell it sometime. But it was amazing because the things I was teaching were happening in the camp. Even the order in which I was teaching stuff was going on in people's lives and in my life and in the staff life, and stuff that had nothing to do with me. The whole camp was being challenged. And when it was all over, and again, I'm not even going to go into it, when it was all over, I said, did I have the foreknowledge? Because I designed a month earlier, I designed all my teachings and the question. Did I have foreknowledge, like, of how things were going to go down? And I realized, no, I don't have foreknowledge. I manifested this camp. Because I had dominion and leadership, and we're going to talk about that tomorrow with the Gospel of the Kingdom I'm teaching tomorrow, Wednesday evening, is dominion and purpose. I was given dominion over this camp, and the schedule that I set in the camp, he actually manifested in the lives of the people while I was there in an unbelievable way that glorified him. But of course, it took us on a roller coaster because, if you're going to script a movie, it's going to have a chase scene and all kinds of other stuff in it. So since we're basically scripting our own movies, and we are as we walk out in this power and we proclaim things into being, I learned a lot. What I also had Saturday morning, after things had gone from the lowest depths to the highest highs, on Friday. It was the most intense day of my life, that Friday. I'm sitting out on the dock on this lake, talking with Kim about repairing the breach. And how come, since we're repairing the breach, wherever we go, there also seems to be this division that's going on, and that's sort of weird, and I hope it's not my personality. Does it have to do with our ministry? And we had a revelation after repairing the breach has been, in our lives for a couple, almost decades. And I never thought about it this way, and we realized.
Can we show a picture of the? If you see our
of
logo,
the
if you
thing?
look on the page, you see our logo. It's like
Yeah,
a brick wall, right? And so
There.
there's a breach there. See, and our words are in. And so we always thought of, well, there's a hole in the wall this way, and so we're repairing the breach. Okay, logical. The thing is, what we never realized until just now, wait a minute. When we repair that breach, the wall had been open, and now it's no longer open. But when there's a solid wall, that means that some people are on one side, and now some people are on the other side. There's no longer free passage from one side, illegal passage from one side to the other. So it does actually divide. And if you think about what Yeshua said, right? I came to bring a sword. There is division. There must be division. There has to be, you're in or you're out. You're Israel or you're not. There's right or there's wrong. You're either following Torah or you're not. There is a wall. Now, a person can choose legal passage, but some people don't like that. Some people don't like that. And so that's why we finally realized everywhere we go, we're repairing this breach, but there's still sometimes
breaches
anger
are generally,
and division. And
breaches are caused for a reason. Somebody wants to break down that wall. Mm-hmm. And when you put it back up, it's very, very challenging. And I'm not saying that's overall what was going on in the camp, but what it does is it stirs people up. And the one thing I said to them when things were getting stirred up, I said, have I taught anything that's heretical? Is there anything false that I've done? If so, bring me scripture, show me, and I'll publicly recant it. But if people are being stirred up by the Spirit because of the word I'm bringing, they have to deal with it. And don't run away from this, because there was talk of maybe we wouldn't even teach anymore. Maybe the was too big. I said, don't do that. Let us finish this. We've learned about repairing the breach, and this is, you'll learn your ministry. I'm going to talk about ministry a lot, and on Wednesday. when you're walking in your ministry, there's always something to learn. And the fact that we've had this name, Repairing the Breach, and walking and repairing the breach, and we realized sort of this direction and not this direction on it, there's always something to learn and to grow and to build. You're never going to get to the end of your ministry or the wonders of Yehovah. So the accident. Real quick, just on our way to Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan for a family day. We were cruising just about 5 minutes outside of Moose Jaw, and there's a car in front of us, and a car makes a left turn right in front of it, and that car just takes it out. And they both go to the side of the road, and I have a big trailer and a lot of weight. We stopped, we pulled over, but the first person you want on the scene of an accident is a chiropractor. It's really, really good. You want one. So our children, we don't hesitate. You don't drive by stuff like that. Some people do.
No.
We jumped out, trying to call 911 on phones that have no signal.
Which you can do, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, that's true.
It did.
Yeah.
Of course, I couldn't tell them where I was because
We had no idea.
I was in Canada. No.
But we hopped out. We were helping both drivers. Kim was checking their vital signs. I was trying to keep one of the guys from wandering out into the street looking for his glasses and waiting for the ambulance to get there. And our children got to see it and watch. How do you handle a situation like that? And we keep getting these sort of near misses that are just him being merciful. Because if I hadn't been paying attention with our weight, we could have totally slammed right into both of those cars. And I don't know that those people would have walked that way because we're pulling a big truck.
Probably we wouldn't have been hurt
We would have been
because
fine
of
because
the
our
weight
truck
of
is
our
great.
vehicle.
But with our trailer and everything, but the fact that we immediately pulled over, we were able to minister to people. We're always handing out our cards and telling, can we do anything for you? And even up in Canada, we did a police report and we moved on down to Columbia Falls, to very good friends, Montana, the Halls. Had a great time there teaching in Hungry Horse, Montana. But while we were there, we have another story to tell, which we refer to as the fire.
Okay, so, the accident was just the first time of me thinking, wow, yeah, thank you so much. You saved us. That was really, really close. We could have been hurt. Someone else could have been hurt. Thank you. It continues. So we're at our friend's house, and my son...
Beautiful, beautiful western Montana.
Oh, it's so gorgeous. If you ever have a chance to go there, go there. Glacier Mountain National Park, we went hiking. We saw mountain goats, like actual mountain goats right there.
It's gorgeous.
It's very cool.
Snow in August.
Snow. So this is the day before we're planning to leave the next day. And the day before we leave, everything's very busy, as you can imagine, packing and everything. And our oldest son, he's into survival things and wilderness things, and he learned somewhere that sap burns very well. And so that would be a good thing for you to have in your survival kit so that, if you ever need to start a fire. So he wanted to check that out. And this is a very heavily wooded area right around their home, and he sees a pile of sap at the bottom of the tree. Of a pine tree. And he decides...
Well, it's not just sap, but sap caked with dried pine needles.
Oh, yeah. Very dry.
I would say probably the best fire starter that you could probably find
And
anywhere.
our friends are away from home that day.
Doing preschool shopping.
They went out to do preschool shopping, and he decides with his lighter to just check this out. And he found out, yes, it really does burn. And the children come running in, fire, fire. And I look out, and I'm telling you, flames 15 feet up this tree, close to the house, many trees around.
At the end of August in Montana, everything's dry, brittle. There was actually large fires burning at national parks.
In
not too far away in Wyoming.
Big fire.
And at the base of the tree, there's a fire probably about that big burning at the base of the tree, and then it went up the sap line.
Because there was a sap line.
There's a sap line, so it's burning up the sap line to the branches that are about 20 feet up of the tree, surrounded by other trees, with their house over there, our trailer parked under the trees there, and a whole neighborhood of houses. People have land out there. Right, you don't move out there unless you have some land.
Right.
But between all the land is trees.
Lots of trees.
Right.
Many trees. So they run in, fire.
And I come running out. My first thought is, who did this? But then I realized that has to wait.
That's not important right now.
That's not important right now. What do I do? So I said, grab a hose, but they were trying to grab a hose, and it was too far. And so my trailer's right there. I open it up, and I have a big packing blanket. So I figure I'm going to, and by the way, on the way out the house, Kim said, should I call 911? And I'm like, I'm just, those things that you process in about a millionth of a second. I'm like, my friends coming home from school shopping in their fire trucks. No, that I don't want. That really, no. That, we want to go other places and have other people invite us other places. No, we don't want that. But then the thought is, no, you got to call 911. I mean, this
By
is
the
not
way,
a
I
joke.
had never called 911 in my entire life. Have you ever grown up thinking, I wonder what it would be like to call 911? Well, I did it at the accident, and
Right,
now I
twice
did
in
it
a week.
again.
Okay. So I go over, I'm hitting the thing with this packing blanket, and it's not going out. And I'm looking around, and I'm saying, this is about to get really, really bad. Thankfully, the children had noticed that they had a fire extinguisher under the sink. I hadn't noticed it. Kim didn't know it, but, the whole family was pulling together at that moment. Kim was getting the kids dressed, trying to figure out, what do we grab of theirs if this turns bad? What do we do? So they bring me the fire extinguisher, and I pull the pin, and I'm squeezing it, and I'm squeezing the wrong thing, because the thing isn't coming out, and this fire is now this big and going up the tree, and I'm reading instructions on a fire extinguisher. And I have to tell you, not panicking, like just, what do I need to do? What do I need to do next? I'm doing my best. What do I need to do next? So finally I realized I was squeezing the wrong thing. I know you're supposed to shoot it at the base, right? And it was one of those kitchen ones that gives you about 2 seconds, and thankfully, and the whole base goes out, except it's burning up on the tree, on the line. So I'm like, okay, that might go out, but what if it doesn't? And I jump in my truck, and I quickly back it between the tree and the shed that was next to the tree that we later learned had gasoline stored in it.
And that's what the 911 lady asked me.
That would have been fun. And I jump up on top of the SUV, the trailer, and I grab that now half-melted blanket, and I'm hitting at it, and it goes out. The first truck showed up in about 5 minutes. If I hadn't put the fire out, that neighbor, Western Montana, would have been in bad shape. They came, the other trucks, smaller trucks came because they're like fire service guys. They ended up digging out the base of the tree. They put water on it. But everybody who showed up, even the assistant fire chief, kept looking at the tree and looking at me and looking at the tree and saying, nice catch, because they knew what was about to happen. And all I said to them was, while you're here, would you please scare the hell out of my son? Because I'd really like this to be a lesson learned today. And they were nice to do that. And in fact, one of the things they made us promise to do was that he would tell the story to children. We missed Fire Safety Week where we were, but we'd like to do it at the camp here and have him talk about it with the children, because this is real deal. I mean, we're talking homes, possibly lives, and probably jail time for me. Thank you very much. Why are your children home, playing with fire? Thank you. But they were very gracious, and they saw the effort that we did, and we really pulled together as a family.
And we learned.
In order to do that, and we learned, and we now have a big fire extinguisher in our trailer ready to go. One of those big industrial ones, ABC, ready to go. And you should have one too, because I'm telling you,
have it,
if
know
they
where it
hadn't
is.
had one, forget it.
Yeah.
This is no joke. I mean, this is for real. Lots of homes done, all of our stuff lost, their stuff lost, and it would have happened within minutes because that's how these things work. How it didn't jump to the tree next to it is, we couldn't even figure out, but we're realizing more and more that the protection of Yah is what it's all about. The implosion, I'll just say this because we don't have a lot of time, we want to move through stuff. We were scheduled to go to Leavenworth, Washington, which, by the way, if you've never been to Leavenworth, Washington, go to Leavenworth, Washington. It's like one of those beautiful places on the planet. And we know great Hebrew roots believers that own an amazing bed and breakfast out there. And they invited us to stay there. Kim and I had our own room, and the children were in another room. And we taught a whole weekend conference and got to walk in the woods. It was just, it's so beautiful out there. It's amazing.
Even just that we all had beds. That was the first time, by the way, that we all had beds. The children had been camping in tents in someone's yard most of the time.
Or we were 8 people in one little hotel room with sleeping bags on the floor.
That was a big deal.
we're heading out there. We stayed overnight, and we're 3 hours away, and I get a text
on the way there.
on the way from someone I don't know saying, we're the other congregation, because I had heard that the congregation had split. We're the other side of the congregation. You shouldn't come. The people you're staying with are dangerous. Watch your children. Da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, okay, what are we getting ourselves into? I called a ministry partner of ours who helps us, and an older man who, said, okay, I think this is what's going on. He said, absolutely, that this is, fear and trying to push you away. But what I really learned, and I had to go to Kim and show her this, because we hadn't gotten there yet. We were supposed to be there, but we had gotten delayed. Like, we had a choice. I mean, we were almost all the way. We could have turned around and run, and I realized that repairing the breach, we run toward the fire. We run toward the problem, screaming, ah! Just running at it at full speed like Braveheart, just screaming and waving the sword. That's what we do, and this was a real challenge because we could have turned around. And the immediate thing was, oh no, but then it was like, let's get some reality in the situation. We went there, and I tried to minister to both sides. Unfortunately, the other side is so far gone, they wouldn't even show up at the conference. They wouldn't do it. If we went to them, they would. It was a whole mess. But I thought we'd have some free time before the conference, and I'm on the phone doing he said, she said for days, trying to repair a breach that I learned sometimes, you just can't fix, or it's not ready to fix. So the conference was not as big as we had hoped. A lot of people weren't there that should have been, in my view, but the people were there. And we had this really, really amazing conference, which made us decide what?
That we just love teaching a full conference, meaning like a whole weekend. Because until this time, we've done how many? Several cities.
Yeah, 6, 7.
Several cities. We have several different teachings that we feel are all important and good and helpful, but they really work together. And it was always a challenge of getting people to commit to everything because they'd be on different nights and, maybe even different locations. And we realized this is just an awesome layout and format, and to get it to be in front of the same people over and over, and it was just
having
great.
Meals and building relationships and things. So we'll do whatever, but we realize that our favorite format is a conference. Plus, this thing of trying to teach like every single weekend or every week is just, with our family, it takes us a day to pack in and a day to pack out. So we're more going to go into like a monthly or every other month, do a conference and do something bigger. And the one we have planned now is out in Phoenix in the middle of November.
So if you know people in Phoenix,
out there, we're doing a southwest regional. We're going out to do that because that's the model that we like. We actually get to, like Sukkot. I mean, here we're not teaching all the time, but we're getting to build relationships with you, and that's what we want to do. The end of the road, going that way. We went about as far as we could go. Yeah. And you're supposed to say yes, sir.
Oh, yes,
You
sir.
missed the cue. We didn't make it all the way to Seattle. We wanted to go put our feet there, but we had the opportunity to stay in Leavenworth for a couple of days after the conference and just chill out, and we did. And
we chilled because the water is very cold.
Very cold.
Very
but
cold.
So beautiful, just amazing. And we understood that the opportunity to recuperate and rest and get some family time, as opposed to, well, we just drove 4,000 miles. We can get a photo at the coast. I mean, I had to deal with that because I'm that guy. I like to finish stuff. Hey, I took my family across country. I commit. I want to do stuff. But you got to make decisions along the way.
The willingness to leave things sort of
undone, or whether you thought undone for something better. So
that was a lesson.
So now we turned around because there was nowhere else to go, and headed back here. We also had to get here, right? We were on that loop. So breakdown number 2. This is how Yah has an incredible sense of humor, and provision is amazing. So what was going on?
So we were on our way to Bozeman, Montana, another awesomely beautiful place where we have a niece who lives there, and we had been invited to share just a few minutes really at a fellowship.
But to talk about our ministry.
At a Shabbat fellowship. And so about an hour and a half away from our destination, and it was late at night on
it was raining.
Thursday.
It was getting cold. It was out in the middle of,
mostly,
if you've ever been out there, mostly everything is out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. I mean, so we're about an hour and a half out. It's late at night. It's cold, and
we were having an argument. Actually,
Were we?
Yeah, we were having an argument, and suddenly there was a boom.
Boom.
The argument stopped.
Yeah, because the
Yeah.
car went boom, and boom, 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 and it wasn't a blowout boom, boom. I'm not doing the
Right.
sound right, but
So,
put, 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 put.
So I get out and I look and the
Something's
car is
wrong.
running. We have a Ford Expedition. It's 20 years old, and I suspected, I had heard, because there had been a ticking, that a spark plug can actually blow out of the engine. It can actually just blow out.
I don't know anything about cars, but apparently that's what it was.
So I had to make a decision at 11 o'clock at night. We were supposed to be there that night. We were supposed to shop the next day, visit my niece, and teach at this congregation. And what do we do? And I had to make a decision. Can I drive the car? Because I obviously don't want to wreck the car. So I said, I think I can keep driving it, but we have like no compression. So we checked the GPS and we said, well, there's an exit up here. And we get off
And the GPS would find us a place to
but
sleep.
we get off the
which is
road,
good.
and now we're really in the middle of nowhere because we're off the highway, and but we're still 8 miles away from the town. Like, we didn't realize
So we're
that.
going put for 8 miles.
So it's heading toward Anaconda, Montana.
And I called, and I found an inn. The first place I called didn't have
Right.
any room.
No room at the inn.
No room at the inn. The second place I called said, yeah, come on out. I'll leave
Right.
the
It
night
was called
on
the
for you.
Vagabond Inn. So we pull in there at about midnight, and as I get out of the car
And
to
it's
go check
cold.
in, and it's getting cold and rainy, and the guy says, so you blew a spark plug in your engine, huh? I said, oh, I have an Expedition. They do that kind of stuff.
He
They
could
could
just
hear
hear
it,
it
believe
and
me.
know.
You could hear it in the parking lot. So we got our room, we got heat, and he said, yeah, there's a garage just a block and a half away. So I got up early in the morning, I put the car over there, I walk in as they're opening the door, because I wanted to be the first one there. He said, so you blew a spark plug out of your engine, huh? I said, yeah, I'm glad to hear you say that. He said, why is that? I said, because it could be a lot worse. He said, yeah, but the thing is we have so much backed up work here that we can't even look at your car for a week. I was like, no, that can't happen. And then in this little town of, I don't know, 1,000 people, every single garage had the same story. Same story, every one. I'm like, this is crazy. We got to get out of here. It's now 9 o'clock in the
Now it's
morning. We have to
Friday
get to Bozeman. It's Friday. Like, we're never supposed to travel on Friday with Shabbat racing up. So, but again, just this level of calm, because I've seen him work through all of these situations. So they're still sleeping, and I'm on the phone and shooting the bull with the owner while I'm on the phone, calling places, and he's recommending garage, and I'm getting the same story. And I call AAA because, hey, we have AAA. And we have AAA on the trailer also. So I call AAA, and I say, because I'm thinking, well, maybe I'm going to have to go to Bozeman. Like, I'm going to have to get all the way to Bozeman. And I call them up, and I say, hey, our coverage is 100 miles of towing, right? They said, yeah. And the trailer, too. They said, yeah, but if you tow the trailer, then that's 2 incidents, and you have a limited number of incidents. And I said, well, what if we have to go over 100? They said it's anywhere from $5 to $15 a mile for doing it. And I was like, okay, and even if I do the trailer and the car, how do I get my family? Because they won't take my whole family with me. And the clock is ticking. So I call our host, and somewhat long story short, there's a guy at the congregation we were visiting, this is Kingdom, who owns a garage. And he said, yeah, you bring it to Bozeman, and I'll take a look at it and see what I can do. So again, I had traveled off the highway. We decided to go to this Vagabond Motel. And I go to my phone, and I put in the address for the Vagabond Motel and the address for his garage, and it was 99 miles away on our 100 miles of towing. And I'm like, yeah, you're just, come on, man. That's just too good. Like, you have to show yourself like that all the time. But I still don't want to tow the trailer. Well, the owner of the place is overhearing my conversation. He says, I have an Expedition just like yours. My son doesn't have anything to do. I'll bet you if you give him some money, he'd tow your trailer and take your family wherever you want to go. So that guy comes over, $100 plus gas. Kim heads off with the AAA to go directly to the garage with one of our sons. I get in his truck, which is like identical to ours. It was like 1 year off. Puts the trailer on and tows us right to our host family house. The guy's a believer. He's had health issues that he's done naturally. I mean, we're just, for an hour and a half, we're having a great old time. He's telling me about, and I got to hang out with this guy, totally unexpected. The owner of the hotel had really major health issues. I gave him our DVD set, Lessons for Healthy Living, was talking to him about health, and
the garage.
the garage fixes the car in an hour and a half, and
No bill.
no bill. Not only no bill, but he said, hey, if you can stay in Bozeman a little longer, there's some other things I'd like to fix, bring it back, and we did. we had no money for that repair. We had no money. And if I had, oh, please, Mr. Garage and Anaconda, can't you see us today? I mean, if any of them had said it, I didn't have the money to pay the bill. Every shop in Anaconda, Montana was shut down. And by the way, while the car was getting fixed, we were at the house we were staying at, unpacking, getting ready for Shabbat, not stuck in Bozeman, stuck in Anaconda, making sure we would be in Bozeman for Shabbat. So, when those doors are closing, when everything seems, stay calm.
And don't try to push it open.
Yeah, don't try to push it open. What I also did is, and we're going to pick up the pace now, because there's a lot of lessons learned, and if you're taking any notes, you may want to write these down. We're going to go through them. The community in Bozeman was the best one I've seen so far. They have 10 or 12 teaching elders who teach once every couple of months. They have no permanent person who's the leader. And they were leading each other. They were doing it in such, I hate to use the word ecumenical, but in just such a peaceful way that one of the elders got up and said, financial report, all our bills are taken care of. If you have some money, give it to somebody. I was like, wow, these people have it together. And they let us, talk for 20 minutes. And rather than talking about repairing the breach, I talked kingdom, because it's like, I'm not going to talk about me. I'm going to give a message. Mm-hmm. And then because we did that, we ended up giving, one of the elders invited us to his house Sunday evening, and we taught for another 2.5 hours on the kingdom and on walking in your calling at their house, when we didn't even have a teaching. We weren't even planned to teach while we were there. We were just going there because we felt it was the right place. The first Sukkot. We're keeping double feasts this year. If you want to know why, I wrote a whole paper of it at Passover time. I'll suffice it to say, if people know, there's a calendar controversy this year, bigger than we've ever seen, which I just love, because Yah loves to confound us when we think that we're all that. I had a decision to make. More arguments or more partying. And I don't know about you, but I figured more partying was the way to go, and we decided to do double feasts. Thank you. That's how we roll. We have more partying. So the first Sukkot was awesome. Eliyah Ministries out in Steelville. If there hadn't been double feasts, if there hadn't been a calendar issue, Missouri, excuse me. If we hadn't had double feasts, we would have never met these people. Over 400 people there. We just went there to hang out. We weren't scheduled to teach.
We didn't know anyone ahead of time. We didn't
basically know anybody. I had some conversations with Tom, who's the head of Eliyah Ministries, wonderful guy. Kept offering, hey, if you have any need, if you don't have the money for gas or to make it here, we have a fund, whatever you need to do to come to the feast. And we didn't want to, and we didn't have to, which was awesome. We just said, I'll say thank you, but let us know. We'll let you know how it works out. So we're there again. Nobody knows us. Right. Not scheduled to teach, a breakout session, nothing. Turns out one of the elders, his wife had some health issues. He didn't come. I was talking to Tom about this kingdom teaching that we're going to teach on Wednesday, saying, Tom, I got this thing in my heart if there's any opportunity. And a day later, I was teaching an evening session from the main stage on kingdom in a place where very few people knew me, and I wasn't part of the leadership or anything. Okay? When you walk in your calling, that happens, and it happens a lot. It even happens so much that I keep saying to Kim, we can't get complacent that like this isn't amazing, because we expect it to happen, to go. If you're willing to serve and sit down at the bottom, and I told him, anything you want our family to do, we'll do. When as Yeshua said, if you sit down at the far end of the table, you get called up to the head, and it happens a bunch. It happened to us here at the feast last year. We came and we said we weren't scheduled to teach, and they opened up things for us because we just had so much we wanted to share. And then when you walk in your calling, that happens, and it happens a lot.
Even we ended up teaching under trees to people who asked us to.
Yes,
like, hey, could you come tell us some health stuff? I said, sure. What time? And the next thing you know, we pulled out someone had gifted us a microphone and an
amp that runs on a battery and a projector, and we're out under a tree with 50 people on the spur of the moment teaching health. And they were totally into it at that feast. They were like, hey, whatever you do out there, it's good. So many stories to tell from there, but at the end, we thought we were going somewhere, and it got postponed. And they said to us, hey, if you want to stay here at the campsite, until you figure out where you're going, we'll take care of it. And they ended up, we thought it was going to be in an RV because the campsite was empty. We ended up being in this cabin with 4 bedrooms and a loft in a cabin and a refrigerator. We've been in a tent all week
in a tent.
in very hot weather. We moved into air conditioning, and Kim had and it was dark. Kim had a whole bedroom she could just go and
had
be
a
by herself.
bathtub.
And we were there for like 9 days on 100 acres of campsite where it was empty. It was the end of the season. And after 3 months on the road, and if people saw, we put out a video recently from Steelville. Oh, the Missouri break.
That's
Yeah,
that.
Steelville. We did a rafting trip on a river. We got to hang out with the owners, who were really cool.
We were protected from the copperhead snake.
Oh
that
yeah,
you
we saw
almost
copperhead
stepped on.
snake. We saw a
We
bald
saw
eagle.
bald eagle.
And we just had a week of just chilling out. And it was over Yom Teruah, and we spotted the moon. And it was just, after 3 months on the road, you know, it was an awesome gift that this ministry, that we couldn't have afforded. That room was, you know, over $100 a night to have that cabin. And I don't think they paid that. The people, there was a ministry, the people who owned the campsite knew we were full-time ministry. And, but it
So
just
the
happened.
favor continues.
Favor continues on that.
to happen.
Now, one of the great things about being on the road is all those old friends that you wish you could see, you just tell them you're coming. And they better have a place for you. So, on the way here, we stopped in, there was
near
possibly a teaching in Nashville that just didn't work out. We've also learned to notice when doors aren't opening. They were trying to open the doors and trying to get people, and I just got this sense, I'd love to teach, it would be good, but no. And that's important. So we got to see old friends.
Yeah. So we got to stay with our dear friends near Asheville, North Carolina. And, you know, when you travel a lot, we're meeting a lot of new people very frequently.
Oh, they have 9 children, by the
They
way.
do have 9 children, and a new little one.
A new little one.
You know, we get a chance to minister to others, and there's definitely meaningful conversations that go back and forth. And surely we are blessed, and we learn things also. We're not only giving, we are also receiving. But it's not the same when you meet someone new as opposed to when you spend time with people who really know you, because then you can kind of go deeper.
And there's trust. Yeah,
and
the
there's trust there. So, you know, sometimes, you know, we're transparent. We don't have everything together. We don't have no problems. We have issues sometimes. And it was just so refreshing and such a gift to be able to spend time with friends who could minister to us.
And give us marriage counseling. I mean, you know, we know that if we're repairing the breach, you know, getting a breach in between us is the biggest thing the enemy could possibly do. That just brings down the house. So, but when you're on the road and you don't have these relationships with people, it doesn't happen. So it was awesome spending time with them and just hanging out in a place, even though their house is crazy, of course. Beautiful, beautiful out in the Burnsville, North Carolina, just gorgeous with leaves changing, and it was so nice. But really, as Kim said, getting to be ministered to when you're in ministry is really, really important. Also,
Oh, this was great.
the acceptable fast. Isaiah 58, which is where we get our name, talks about what is the acceptable fast. And that it's not about sackcloth and ashes, and it's really not so much about not eating for 24 hours. It's about breaking the yoke by feeding the hungry and clothing the naked and taking in the outcast and not turning away from your own flesh, your own family. And the more and more that I've read Isaiah 58, and I've done it for 17, 18 years, and had it go in and learning more and more, I'm thinking more that it's about Yom Kippur. I know it talks about, there's a Shabbat in verse 12 that says, don't speak your own words and do your own pleasure on my Sabbath day. And I'm like, that's not every Sabbath. That can't be every Sabbath. In fact, there's some Sabbaths that we're supposed to have, you know, joy. I don't think it's the weekly Sabbath. I think it's specifically Yom Kippur, although I think there's lessons in it for all of our life. But we kept Yom Kippur a month ago, and I said, you know, I think there's more. And so a day before this Yom Kippur, I said to the family, I read Isaiah 58, and I knew what I wanted to say, but I said, what should we do this day? And I just waited, and nobody said anything, and I waited some more. And finally they said, we should go feed some people. We should go that. So I got on Google, and I found homeless shelters down in Asheville, and called them up, and we went down on Yom Kippur, and we fed people on Yom Kippur. Because if you read Isaiah 58, it seems to be talking about feeding really truly afflicted people. Now we walked in there, they said, you're you know, nobody showed up today, this is amazing, your whole family's here, we're feeding people for hours, and there was no one to help. but you know, we're fasting and feeding people food. That's hard, okay? But it was awesome. And so there's a much bigger story to this, and it was great, including the fact that because it was a homeless shelter where people are giving food, and by the way, if they're giving organic food now. If you go to any of these food pantries, the level of food that they give to these pantries is amazing. And guess what we went home with? Boxes of stuff. They were like, take this, take this. We wanted, you know, by the way, the only legal way to break the fast is with bagels and cream cheese and lox. If you didn't know, Big Brother Judah, I got to tell you, if you're not doing it that way, you're doing it wrong. Absolutely. And I can show you scripturally where that's from. We hadn't gotten good bagels. We hadn't gotten really good bagels. Kim got them from the supermarket. We didn't have enough. As we're there, guys from Panera Bread are walking in with boxes of bread, with bagels. I'm like, bagels! We're getting bagels. I'm not going to buy anything on you. I'm not buying anything. We didn't pick them up. They were brought to us. I got my bagels. So he's so good. Father's so good. Even gives you your bagels in due season. So, but it was so awesome being able to do that and have the children seeing us do that. Definitely an untraditional one. So that brings us to Sukkot B, our second Sukkot. I really wanted to show you again that map, and I'll find it in the trailer here. I'll bring it up. But that map had places and dates, and I have to tell you, we got in a 20-year-old SUV with a trailer that was last minute bought by someone. We didn't have money, really, okay? We have a certain, you know, donors that give, but not what I would say regularly. I have some small business things going on, but nothing that we count on. We certainly don't have savings, and we did it anyway. And there was no way that we had the money. We just took that honorarium from the Canada, that first invitation, and said, that's enough. That'll be enough to get us up there if we really needed to do nothing but camping and stuff. And everywhere along the way, between people donating, between people giving provision like free auto care and things like that, food, places to stay, and then people online who are watching us go around the country and sending in things. You know, so there are some people, it's a small donor base, we'd like to grow it so that we're more stable on this. But it was really us having to realize just one more step. Just, what's that thing from Finding Nemo? Just keep on swimming. Just keep on swimming. Just keep on swimming and just keep on swimming. And so every place that we planned to go and then some, we did it. We did it on schedule because, hey, we pulled in here at 2:06. I wanted to be here at 2 o'clock yesterday. That's when it opened. We left Miami 19 hours late. And 3.5 months later, we pulled in 6 minutes late. So we're getting better. We're learning. So we're here, and again, if you don't have one of these, please do. There's so much going on here, but we have this, being crazy enough to walk in your calling, the Gospel of the Kingdom, which will be Wednesday evening, which is the one thing that I'll teach when I have an opportunity to teach, and we're doing it in the big session. Yeshua's only message and your sole purpose. And then we're doing 2 workshops, one on walking in your calling and one on rebooting your body, overcoming fat, sick, and tired. And if anybody is one of those or all three, or knows somebody who is, and that would be the planet, everybody in that, unfortunately, the whole planet suffering from this. We're going to be doing that. And then we're doing Feastercise again, but we're not doing it at 7 a.m. because that was a little early, like we did last year. At 9 a.m. down by the beach. It's just going to be about, it's a 15-minute program of exercises and stretching at any level. Anyone can do it, and it's something you can do at home with no weights or anything. We taught it last year. We want more people this year. By the way, we haven't been. We got off our regimen. That we're also using this as a way of getting back onto our exercise, which make commitments to other people. It's a really good way to do it. And then coaching. I coach, and Kim coaches on health and lifestyle sort of makeovers, health makeovers. I do it on walking in your calling. We're going to do like 2 slots a day, meet for about 20 minutes or so with 2 people. We have a sign-up list, and if you'd like to get on it, we'll set a time. And we want to do it specifically for people who are, one, really interested in walking in your calling, or are really interested in a lifestyle change, but we're not here to waste our time. Okay, come ready to make a change, because we're going to give you motivation and a plan, but you need to bring your own why. Okay, and if you're not ready to make a commitment, don't take that slot away from someone else. But if you're serious, we'd love to do it. If we can fit in more time, we can, but we also want to have some family time. So that's what we're doing here at the second Sukkot. So now what Repairing the Breach is planning for the future, although we plan our ways and he guides our steps. But what I've learned from that is he can't guide your steps if you're sitting down. Okay, let that sink in. He can't guide your steps if you're sitting down. You have to get up and start walking and have him say, no, there. But if you're sitting down, he can't guide you. Okay? So you get up and you go, and we will on Thursday, I'll talk about that, about how to get your confidence level up to about a 7 or 8 of what your calling is, because you don't go from an 8 to a 10 knowing what your calling is, theoretical. You can get to the 7 by looking at your life. You can't get to the 10 until you start walking it out. And I'll stand as a testimony to that. But now we're walking in our calling, and still there's so much to go, but we know that we're walking in our calling, and it's awesome. So the future, the 2017 tour. We're gonna go back. The Goldmans are gonna get back and go at it. We don't know where yet. We don't know if we're gonna visit old places or new places. But what we do know is I had faith for a trailer, and we got a trailer, as I told you. I believe the time has come to have faith for an RV. Because stopping every hour to an hour and a half so that the children can use the restroom facilities is getting pretty tired. And it's delaying us, and it's really exhausting us. Will it be this nice? Yes, of course it will be. This nice, as you can, we with a 20-year-old car, truck, and a trailer,
There's
we
only so
went.
much it can
Okay,
do.
but we've proved that we're willing to go.
Yeah.
Okay, we went with what we had. We now, and this is 6 months from now or so when we head out on the tour. So if you have one of these, or you know someone who has one of these, or you have a way, we're looking for provision. We're praying for this. I just need to increase my faith, because when I was praying on the trailer, it was like ding ding. I got the trailer. I believe we need this now, and that'll allow us to do a lot more on the road. So.
For people, not everyone can accommodate us, and
Yeah, and the children, sleeping in tents in backyards and things like that.
with killer mosquitoes.
Yeah, with killer mosquitoes. Yeah, we had children come in with welts all over their bodies from the Michigan mosquitoes. So we're going to rapid fire through this, because I promised we'd be done no later than 4:30, and so we got 10 to 15 minutes to do that. I wanted to share with you a list of the lessons learned. Most of these will apply to anything that you would do to do crazy stuff for the kingdom. Okay, anything. Some of them have specifically to do with being on the road, because that's been our experience, is being on the road. And by the way, unless you're going to be very local in your community, if you're going to be a pastor or very local, you'll probably end up traveling and going somewhere. So this will apply to some extent. Okay, lessons learned. That's it. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good night. Seek first the kingdom and his righteousness, and everything will be provided unto you. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's no way. I don't know how much money, and if we totaled up all the money, provision, food, hotels we didn't need to get, everything, I don't even know how much it is. We didn't have that in the bank. We didn't even have close to it in the bank. We got, what we needed to do? We needed to get to Jacksonville for the Revive conference. Okay, the money came in. I booked the hotel room. We had the gas. I needed to get from Revive up to Virginia. And I needed to get from Virginia to Michigan, and on and on. And like right before we walked out the door of Michigan, our host handed me a very nice thing. And I said, this is awesome. Unfortunately, I have a feeling that I'm going to need it. And an hour and a half later, I was pulling off to get my brakes done for the second time. So when the money comes in, I fully expect that it's going out, because he gives us what we need for today. So seek first the kingdom, and don't worry about the other things, because that's what the Gentiles worry about. Be led by Yehovah. Boy, this has been a walk by the Spirit and trusting him. And I've learned a lot about myself, and am I really hearing, or am I not? Because we didn't make every choice perfect, but he's been merciful on the others. Go where you're invited. As Yeshua said, go out, and when they welcome you into a house, go in there. That's been our whole thing. The invitation came from PJ and Christy. Yep, when the doors open and people want you to come, go there. Don't try to force your way in. Yeah, did some places we went, hey, that's on the map, and I'd call around, but we didn't push things. We didn't hit people over the head. Hey, man, when are you going to call me? It's like, if it's open, it's open. Put out the fleece, put it out there, but otherwise go where you're invited and not where you're not. Expect the unexpected. In a good way and a bad way. Well, there's no bad, right? There's just in a way.
Seeming bad.
In a
Sometimes
seemingly
seem
bad. But expect, if life doesn't normally go as you plan, do that on the road with 6 children, do it. I've almost gotten to the point where I'm comfortable everywhere because we have no surroundings that are stable. And it's gotten to the point where it's almost like I operate in a dream state because dreams there's always in a weird place that's not
new people.
I almost have this feel. I hope I'm not going crazy, but we've become comfortable being anywhere with anybody because we have nothing that's ours and stable, except our family, and that's the only thing. And that's what we've known for many years, to base everything around the family, but that's really hard too. Make a plan. We'll talk about that a lot on Thursday. Make a plan, set hard deadlines. Put it on the calendar, put it on the map, or years turn into your funeral and you didn't do it. Make it hard. Get organized.
Organized, oh my gosh. Can I tell you how many hours we have wasted because people, not that I would possibly be one of them, used something and didn't put it back where it belongs. Now, in a regular house, that's no big deal. But, when you're staying places and then you have to spend hours packing, I wish we could learn this lesson. We're still learning it. But you know what? Just put it back where it belongs. If you put it back where it belongs, then it's already there, ready to pack
and we're more organizing.
Move.
We have bins, we have shelves. People can check out our trailer. We did a custom thing
know
on the inside
what
of the
you
trailer.
have
Yeah.
and where it belongs.
And know that you don't need so much stuff.
Don't need so much.
I believe Yeshua sent out the disciples and said, only take a cargo trailer with you. No, he didn't say that.
The fact that we have 8 people's stuff in that trailer, you could say, wow, that's really good. You only have that much. You know what? We still have too much. Right. I know we still have too much.
We don't use it all the time. But we are doing, it is a ministry and a life, a business. I have stuff. We have to ship things. We have to duplicate our DVDs.
Know the things that you use and
right.
get rid of the rest.
Okay. No fear.
Yeah.
The last couple of months before we headed out, that was my only prayer. Don't have any fear. Because I was walking in it. I felt settled in my ministry. I knew what I was called to do. It was about not having fear. And man, did a couple of people, send those emails that just ripped me to shreds. You don't know how to teach. Give it up. You're a fraud. And they go right to your core insecurity. So you know that you're on something. And I had to no, I teach. People are blessed by it. This is what we're called to do. But man, were we getting slammed. The whole thing was to not be fearful. We knew we were getting close, and so do the enemy that doesn't want you to. I say don't be realistic. To me, realistic, the future isn't realistic. The future is the future. It's not real. We design it. We determine what it is. We take control over it. So I can be realistic with what I have right now, but I choose to let my future be what I design it to be. I choose to make a decision and have it be manifested as long as I'm in the will of Yehovah to have it manifested. So this thing of, don't that's crazy. Yeah, I do know it's crazy to go out on the road with 8 children, but it's what we're called to do, and we're going to do it. What?
8.
8 children. 6 children, sorry. See, I'm future thinking. I'm future projecting. Yes, if you look at how we've acted toward each other sometimes, yes, 8 children. 8 children of Yah.
That was not prophecy.
That prophecy. You're rebuking my prophetic. She's denying my prophetic abilities. No, I said I don't prophesy. We just manifest. Okay. So.
All right.
So some people heard me on that one. Yeah. But don't be. The world will tell you be realistic. What does that mean? It's the future. What does that mean? It's the future. And I finally said this to Kim yesterday in the car. I said, since we're supposed to have the mind of Yah, define realistic as far as how Yah defines being realistic. How does Yah define this word? And however he defines this word, I'll agree with you that we should be realistic. He spoke the whole universe into being.
Don't set limits.
Don't set limits, just create. Okay? Provision comes in many, many forms. It's not just money. Okay? How many people that took us in, that offered us a place to stay, you know? Even in the middle of Nebraska, I had a slide, I think I skipped over that. Some people from our friends in Canada said if they're ever coming through Nebraska, we'd like them to visit. I'm like, we're not going through Nebraska. Well, we ended up going through Nebraska, out in the middle of nowhere. We stayed for, they had an RV on their property, and we drove, we had to go 1,600 miles in a few days to go all the way from the West Coast to Missouri. We drove like
800
yeah,
miles.
800 miles, and then we rested there for a full day, and then we went off. They were a refuge out in the middle of nowhere because we knew somebody who knew somebody, and we saved on a hotel. You know, we didn't have to get a hotel room, and we had people just to hang out with and be cool with and fellowship with. An income base is helpful. Okay, as I said, we have little bits, you know, I mean, I'm an entrepreneur. We have little things coming in, and we have people, and those, you know, those of you who support us that are here, you know, and those who'd like to support us, it means a lot. You can't imagine what we do, you know, especially when we know it's coming in regularly, that we have some kind of base. It's helpful, but it's not necessary. And don't hold back thinking that the day is going to come when you're going to have all the money and then you're going to do it. Don't do that. The way to have the life that you want isn't to wait. It's to have the life you want. So we decided to have the life that we want. And so we just walked in it because I realized wherever we are, I have to pay bills. Wherever we are, I have to feed my family. Wherever I might as well be where I want to be. And maybe for you, that's planted right in your community, and maybe for you, that's traveling the world. I'm not telling you what it has to be, but whatever it is, do it. Please do it. Minister everywhere. Everywhere. When your car breaks down, hey, what's this about? Who do we need to minister to? Minister everywhere at every time. Why? Because if you're seeking the kingdom, everything's provided for you. We went to this conference where the place imploded, and they said, hey, look, we're sorry. You know, not as many people are going to be here as we thought. If you have any financial difficulty, like if you don't get enough at your book table, let us know. And I said, look, I appreciate that, and I'm so happy that you're willing to take care of us. My only concern right now is that I'm doing my ministry. I need to make sure that I'm not wasting my time, that I'm talking to the right people, that I'm doing this conference properly, because if I seek the kingdom first, I know he's going to provide. It might be through your hands or someone else's, but I need to make sure that I stay within my ministry and do it, because the provision will come. Be humble and bold. Yes, you can do both. I'd like to spend a half hour talking about this, but I have 15 seconds. When I was at that camp, they were confused because I was this cocky American who was teaching a hard word while at the same time saying, how can I serve? Whatever I need to do to fix this, I'll do. And I said, I'll bet that confuses you. They said, yes, it does. I said, this is the deal. When you know who you are and you know what your calling is, you walk boldly in it, but you also know who you're not. And I know that with the things I'm not, I need you, because you're the rest of the body. And so I will boldly do what I do, and I'm going to look to you to do what you do, and know that I can't do certain things, and I'm cool with that. And so much of knowing who you are is knowing who you're not. Depend on his word and spirit in every situation. When I was at that camp, I was getting beat up. I had accusations coming against me. I might have to leave. It was going to be embarrassing. It was the first big thing I ever did in our ministry, and I was empty. And all I had to stand on was, what does Torah tell us to do as a community in this situation, and what would Yeshua do? And I just kept saying it over and over again. Well, you know, because there was none of Chaim left, and that's the way it was supposed to be. None of me left. But it works. It really, really works. You stand on his word. This Bible is true, man. It's really, really, really true, and it works. But we need to actually put it into place in government, kingdom government, which I'll talk about on Wednesday. Build a network. Meet people, build a network. We now have invitations across the whole country. We have people, we could stay basically anywhere. We could be in Texas for a year, I think, at this point. We had so many invitations. We're going to get to that point, which is nice, where we have too many places to go. And people who really want to see you and really want you to come. That's just awesome. But you know what? It takes time, and we've done this ministry it takes time. It takes time when no one cares and no one knows. And the people who are here in this audience that have been faithful to us, man, you can't imagine the reward you're going to get from the residual reward of what we're doing, because there were times that we didn't have food, and you got us down the road, and you inspired us to say, you know what, if someone's willing to send us money, I guess we have a ministry to somebody. And that was just awesome. Okay, embrace the challenges. I'll go through this because I promised we'd be done in 3 minutes. Embrace the challenges, be yourself, and die to self. You're going to go a lot of places, see a lot of people. You got to be yourself, but you also need to respect the house that you're in, and that's a real challenge. To not make people feel that you're changing them when you're visiting them, and yet you're not going to compromise what you do. That's hard. Grow in every situation. And I met a guy, there's a guy I know, very, very successful businessman and ministry guy, and we were heading out on the road. He lives near Jacksonville. We visited him, and I said, we're going out, we're doing it. What advice do you have? And I'm figuring, this guy, he's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, one of the most successful guys, network marketing guys on the planet, on fire Christian, and I'm expecting him to tell me about how to do meetings and how to do this and that. He said, enjoy the journey. That was his advice. I was like, really, man? He said, that's it. Enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey. Make time for life, okay? Especially make time for life, okay? Nobody here expects you, and especially him, to always be working. And I know that's really hard for me. Take time for life or you'll burn out, lose, what profit a man, right, if he loses all that. Get on a schedule. And it's really, really wise to have AAA and healthcare coverage. Really, really wise to back yourself up.
And fire extinguishers.
And fire extinguishers and all that.
Sure.
Learn your lessons. But I have to tell you, the lesson learned is love. You got to love the people that you're ministering to. If you don't, it's, they say ministry is great if it weren't for the people.
You say that.
You gotta, no matter what you teach, no matter what you have to share, if you don't love the people, and with our family, and we're still going through this, it's hard. I got a 13-year-old, it's hard for us as a family to do this, but we're learning ways that we have to love each other, respect each other, parent in a way that is, hey, these children sometimes sit in a car for, we were on the road the other day for 30 straight hours. A little bit of sleep and a rest stop, okay? And for the most part, they were awesome. A couple of breakdowns, a couple of things. But love, and whatever you do in ministry, that's what's going to go farther beyond what you could ever teach or what you could ever do, is that, and people do it. So the rest of Sukkot, we have this list. Please be with us, talk with us, hang out with us. Let's have fun. Please come to the teachings. Tell other people around, about it.
Sign up for the
Sign up
coaching.
for the coaching and things like that. We come to the feast to pour ourselves out. We really come as giving what we can, right? We're supposed to come up with what we have. We're coming up with our teachings, with our ministry, with everything, even our children. So please call on us for that, because we're the crazy Goldmans. There we are. That was actually Sukkot last year.
That's last year.
That was last year
Hey,
here.
whoever has that spot under the tree.
Yeah, they're behind the tree. So we're the crazy Goldmans. Nice to meet you, and we'll see you. Our next thing is 9 a.m. on the beach tomorrow for Feastercise. I guarantee you, even if you haven't exercised ever, you can do these things. They're simple and they work, and you don't get injured, and you'll trust us. We're going to teach you about it. We need to be healthy as the body of Messiah. We need to walk in health, and we can't do our ministry. Okay, is it about this physical body? No, but it is, because we're body, soul, and spirit. You can't separate it. If your earth suit isn't allowing you to get around the way you want, your ministry is going to suffer. And so is this the most important thing? No, but it's one of the top 3 of body, soul, and spirit, I guarantee. And so we want to help on all of that. Please see us at our resource table when we're there, and just hang out and talk, and encourage us to get some rest too while we're here at the feast. We're repairing the breach. You can find out about us, all the other ministries we talked about, all of our tour stuff, where we're going next, all of that, and our help desk to contact us there.
Thank you.